experience, though, and this is personally for me, sometimes you get to a weight and then you're not happy. You want something else, right? You want, I could lose 3 more pounds, right? So I always say don't get caught up in the number on the scale. If you're following the plan, how you're feeling. If you've made changes, right? Be honest with yourself here. That's what counts. And again, I always say I've seen people lose all their weight, and yes, it's about the number, it's partially about the number on the scale, but a lot of it can be your measurements on your clothes. Again, how are you sleeping? How's your energy level? But all of those changes can happen in the last 6 weeks of the first 12 weeks. Okay, so let's look at week 5. Again, in yellow is what you had to do last week. So you were to start 30 seconds of exercise. From the files section in our page, you'll find all the exercises listed there. And just twice per day, do 30 seconds of activating before you eat. It's very, very cool. Just do it wherever you are. If you're at your office, wherever you are, 30 seconds. People will wonder what you're up to, and just tell them you're on a new health plan and you're very serious about it this time. We also talked a little bit about what are your beliefs, right, about eating that has led you to be fat. And again, maybe your food journal can help you out here. Just spend a little bit of time thinking about it. Some of the things you tell yourself in your head will often lead you to what those beliefs are. And we also talked about the 2 fuel tanks we have, where our energy comes from, carbohydrates and fats. And all of us have some excess fat, and we want to burn that excess fat up. And that means we've got to lower that carbohydrate fuel tank or the glycogen fuel tank. And that comes from eating less sugary things, right? And you're going to get a whole week on sugar a little bit later. But fruit juices, starches like pasta, a lot of those things, breads, really fill the glycogen tank up fast. Okay. On we go. Also very important here in all of your weeks so far is your protein, right? You've got to get enough protein. So really what I like to see is a gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's totally going to control your hunger. You're going to find your cravings disappear. Your energy goes up. Very awesome, right? So you can look at all kinds of chicken cuts. You've got that ground beef, maybe some turkey, fish, all kinds of fish, pork, eggs, and of course our amazing fuel from Nutri. So convenient and easy to go anywhere with you, right? So the fuel might be a great option for breakfast for people who aren't used to eating breakfast. 30 grams, you get 30 grams of protein, which is what I'm asking you to get every time you eat protein. All right, so this week, some snacking. Right, we're going to talk a little bit, and Kim Lyons talks here about snacking. For me, it's fueling your body, it's eating, right? And one of the things about snacking is we need to determine what is the signal we're getting from our body. Are we bored? Are we feeling an emotion fairly stronger? And do we confuse that with hunger? Right? And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But snacking, yes, there's healthy snacking, and to me it's like a little mini meal, right? And so that's what we want to talk a little bit about tonight. All right. This, how do you gain 10 pounds in a year, right? Which when you think over 12 months and all of a sudden you've got an extra 10 pounds on, that's going to mean an extra clothing size, right? And if you're like me, maybe you had several different clothing sizes in your closet, right? And it just kind of sneaks up. It's not like it's a big deal. That's less than £1 pound a month, right? But how that happens is it's actually 10 extra calories per day. So when we talk about what we put into our fuel tank and what we burn off, if we're always leaving some excess fuel in the tank, that's where your body doesn't spit it out. It keeps it and it'll store it. Right? That's that fat. But believe it or not, just 10 extra calories that you put in the fuel tank that you don't burn off over a year consistently every day, 365 days of the year, will be 10 pounds in 1 year. That's like a tiny little mint can have 10 calories, right? Crazy. And it's just, and it's not, and that's where the quantity, like just the number of calories you eat, that's where it doesn't make sense, because who can balance it out that well, right? That's where the quality of food comes in, okay, as well. But, really, most of us are often eating more than 10 extra calories per day, right? And again, that's where that quality of food is going to come in, combined with a little bit of that quantity. All right. So we got to remember just what I've been talking about here. Carbohydrates raise your insulin, and that cancels the fat burning, while you're encouraging fat storage. So you might not be eating a lot, right? The quantity is low, but because of the types of food you're eating, the quality, you're storing fat all the time, right? The chemistry in your body is happening, and it really determines what goes on there, right? So that's where you see people who are, they eat like little birds, but they're very heavy because their body isn't burning a lot of fat. All comes back down to that metabolism and what we're telling our body to do, right? But protein, guys, remember, protein encourages fat burning. It encourages satiety, all the decreased cravings, okay? So important to remember this, right? It's not just about those calories. Let's talk a little bit more about that insulin thing, what goes on with the insulin. So this is interesting. Look at that beautiful picture, right? Does that already cause you to have some reactions? Certainly it does for me, right? As a sugar addict, I have different files in my head now that pop up for me to use, not just I want to eat that or, just a bite or something like that. But, it might cause that. But let's talk a little bit about what happens when food like this is eaten, right? It's a really vicious carbohydrate cycle. So we eat some sugary carbs. And, for me, sometimes it's even fruit. A really sweet fruit might do this, much less so than flour and doughy sugary carbs. But fruit can do it for me too. But what happens is insulin gets activated because your body knows that when there's a lot of sugar in the bloodstream, it can cause problems, right? It recognizes it right away. So this amazing hormone insulin is fired in there to start looking after it right away. And remember I told you that's when fat is chased back into the fat cells. It's getting out of the way of insulin to do its job. But there's something else that happens in the blood. So there's also other things in the blood floating around, such as amino acids. Amino acids are those pieces of protein. They're all the little parts of the protein. And as well, when insulin has to come do its work, all the amino acids get driven back into the muscles, right? They go back into where they come from, which are the muscles. But there's one amino acid that doesn't mind hanging around when insulin is doing its work, and it's called tryptophan. Now, as all the other amino acids head out and tryptophan stays in the blood, and then its concentration increases because the other amino acids are taking off and it's there alone, tryptophan is allowed to cross from the blood into the brain. And this is very interesting because this is where it meets another hormone, serotonin, or it actually combines with some other things in the brain. I'm not sure, enzyme or hormones, the tryptophan does, and it actually allows serotonin to be produced. And what's serotonin? It's your happy hormone. So you're not crazy when you think, gee, I eat something really sugary and I feel kind of happy. Because this is happening. This chemical process is happening. And that, again, serotonin is what makes us feel good. It's a happy hormone, right? So it's crazy. And then what happens is our brain actually creates a memory of this whole cycle. I eat this. It doesn't really relate to all of this, but it remembers this. I feel happy. I eat this. I feel happy. I eat this. I feel happy, right? It's crazy. And we're not crazy when that happens. Now, it's really interesting. The other thing that can create the same serotonin in the brain and make you feel good is exercise. Exactly. Okay. So are you really hungry, right? So this is the, when you're feeling like I say munchy, right, or you want to have something to eat, I always have to check with myself, gee, what did I do today? Did I follow my eating plan? Did I eat all my food? Did I put my protein in my body? Am I really hungry? Or is it something else, right? If you, on one day, again, if you missed your protein, don't think you have to eat all your protein in the evening. That's not a good thing either. And again, it's like one day won't hurt you. But it's when you are consistently overeating and then not eating and then binging, when that's the pattern, right? That's when you cause havoc in your metabolism. But if you've had a day and maybe you are just hungry, because if you were more active that day, you might be feeling a little bit more hungry. But go and grab a little bit of protein with some vegetables. Maybe you have a nice hot cup of tea. Decaf would be nice, right? If it's the evening, evenings seem to be a tougher time for people. But, again, are you watching TV and it's just a habit for you to have something to eat? Right? Are you playing a game with your family? And you usually bring out a bunch of snacks when you play a game. I mean, that was my mom whenever we were playing cards or a game. All these bowls of candy and peanuts and other little things would come out, right? So it triggers a reaction for me, but you don't need it, right? That's just what it is. It's a reaction. It's an urge. It's nothing else. Your body actually doesn't need to be fueled. Okay, so we want to try this week, no unhealthy snacks late at night. Some of those things that you would be maybe a habit that you're eating. Try this week to really clean up your evening eating, right? You're not going to die. I know it feels like that. For me, when I first started, it was like my urge to have something to eat was like making me crawl out of my skin. But it's like, just stay calm. Use your mantra, right? Just think about it. Use a visualization, preparing yourself for the evening, what you're going to do. You're just going to sit calmly. You're going to get a cup of tea. Maybe you're going to have a few carrots, right, to munch on. If it's something like if you just need to chew, right, take a bowl of carrots and eat that. Then just be happy with your decision. Know that you're actually doing something really good for yourself. All right. Jumping into something kind of fun tonight, automatic mind building that we're doing. And we're going to talk about the 4 phases of growth and change. And this is very interesting. Anytime that you grow or you gain some knowledge, there's some change in your life, it requires that we all pass through 4 phases. Every time with anything, right? Anything that is new to us. There's this blending in our brain of consciousness, being conscious of what's happening to us, and then gaining competence in what that new thing is, right? We have to gain some competence, but we have to also realize it's happening to us. And so phase 1. So what's really cool is you will move through all these phases. Once you go into a phase, you never go backwards, but you might stay in a phase for a very long time. So phase 1 is unconscious incompetence. So you don't know that you don't know, right? So this is a very comfortable phase. No discomfort here, right? It would be like somebody from Nigeria not knowing about snow, and so they never know how cold it is. They just don't know. Here's some other examples, right? You're not real knowledgeable yet on eating, and you think drive-through food is pretty healthy, right? And so another night of going through the drive-through, right? Or an example of a child doesn't have a bike, right? Has never seen one, and therefore doesn't know the pleasures of riding one, right? Just going on through their life, very unconscious of it, but they're also very incompetent in this area, but they don't know. Okay, so phase 2, conscious incompetence. So suddenly now we know that we don't know, right? Now this becomes a more uncomfortable phase. So for this person, right, all of a sudden, wow, my doctor told me I've got diabetes and now I have to lose weight. I got to eat all this protein. How am I going to do this? Kind of a yucky, yucky feeling, and and it's new, and it's when you're incompetent in what you've just become conscious of, right? Or now the child sees a bike and a friend is riding this bike, but they don't know how to ride it, right? Can't get on it, lots of falling going on, very incompetent, okay? To move from phase 1 to phase 2, you have to be given some knowledge. So, specifically for all of you here, you made the step to want to change your health. Now you've been told protein is an important part to losing weight and being healthy. So now you can never go back to not knowing that, right? But that's what bumps you from phase 1 to phase 2. You heard something, you read something, right? Over the radio, somebody told it to you. So now you know something you didn't know before. What you do with it's going to be up to you. How long you stay in phase 2 is up to you. All right, phase 3. All of a sudden now there's conscious competence. Okay, so you're doing it more easily if you really think about it. You got to it's like it's right in front of your nose, right? It just becomes a huge part of your life. There's a little less discomfort here, right? So for example, my blood test was better. Wow, that's, I feel great. Let's cook some protein tonight for the week. Let's do some food prepping, right? So if you make the conscious effort, you can be very competent at it. If you try winging it through the day, you're probably going to miss the mark on what you should be eating, right? And now you've got this child kind of able to ride that bike, go a little ways, but then it's got to put their feet down right away, just really concentrating hard. That's conscious competence, really having to think about it. But eventually, if you get there and you stick at it, you're going to come to unconscious competence. This might be, another example might be brushing your teeth, right? Have you ever brushed your teeth and all of a sudden you started, but it's done and you didn't really even realize you did it because you were thinking about a whole bunch of other things going on in your day already that you're getting ready for. And that's, you do it without thinking about it. Very naturally, and again here, no discomfort. It's a very comfortable phase, right? So, right, I've lost 30 pounds. My doctor's thrilled, right? I love being lean. I love slim, right? That's this person who now is living naturally lean, right? And this is where our kids, then they're riding their bike, standing on the seat. Maybe they're texting, right? Not holding on to the handlebars, right? Very, very competent, and they're not really thinking about it anymore, riding that bike. So you do get here. You get here if you stick with it. And this is where we live lean naturally, right? It will come if you keep at this. This is where we talk about your why. What's important? Why are you doing this? You've got to keep that in front of you. Okay, you'll get here. All right, so this week, listen to your body later at night, right? Are the munchies creeping up due to another issue? Or are you actually hungry, right? And you know what? Even one night if you're hungry and still not eating something isn't going to cause a problem, right? Just for a week, you really got to concentrate on what happens in the evening. And here, what phase are you in? So as I've said, it's impossible for any of you to be in phase 1, which is unconscious incompetence. So you're in phase 2, phase 3. Most of you probably aren't in phase 4 just yet, but right, phase 2 or 3, conscious competence or unconscious competence, okay? Right? But again, as it says, know that your discomfort is exciting, right? It's good, it's good. It means your mind is changing and that your body is starting to heal. Your mind is growing. Your mind is expanding, but your body is healing. All right, fantastic. Just a little bit here about our skinny, right? This is the first thing you should be trying. You can get a case of 24 servings, $85 plus the shipping and taxes, right? Now, if it is your first case, your coach might be able to help you out with some free shipping on that. So ask. And again, to go out and buy everything that's in skinny and to have that same 24 servings or, 2 weeks supply, you're looking at close to $150, right? To buy everything and take it all. So skinny is amazing. And of course, we have all of our products, right? If you haven't necessarily tried Fuel yet, our protein, fantastic, and our energy. Again, wow, I love all these three, you guys. you know, you're spending money on food now. Sometimes what you're spending it on isn't going to get you the results you want. Just redirect some of what you're doing. One of my gals cut out all of her coffee stops. All of her coffee stops. She said over a month it was way more than enough to buy 2 cases of Skinny. Believe that? All of her coffee stops with muffins and little snacks, right? All the things that she was getting, the extras. So there you go. Thank you for showing up. Hang in there. You're doing awesome. Go into week 6 and do the thing. Thanks, everybody.